Welcome to Tech Beyond Gender podcast. I'm your host, Meena Satish Kumar. Today, we have the privilege of hosting Dr. Anish Dua, a distinguished retired university professor with over 3 decades of experience in teaching, research, and administration. Unlike many of our previous guests from corporate tech backgrounds, Dr. Dua has dedicated his life to social transformation, notably leading a groundbreaking campaign against female feticide in Punjab, India. His impactful work has earned international recognition, including invitations to speak at the United Nations. Let's dive in to explore his profound insights on gender equality and social advocacy. Thank you so much, Dr. Dua. Thanks for
Thank you.
joining. To begin with, can you share what inspired your initial interest in social causes, particularly around gender equality?
Uh, Thank you, Meena, first and foremost, for giving me this opportunity to be with you in this podcast. And let's see how the conversation evolves, unfolds on various issues that are dear to you. And I have some limited perspective and experience in that. When you talk about gender and female feticide in that's a very negative word. At the United Nations level, they call it sex selection. Uh, and they talk about the indicator as child sex ratio, that how many girls are there versus the boys below a particular age group. Well, this was not my call, let me tell you. I was, I would say, going in a regular manner in my life when something very beautiful happened to me. I started my spiritual journey in 2003. And you see, when you start going inwards, when you start connecting with your own self, then you can beautifully have a perspective which is holistic, which is inclusive, which is positive, which is full of all the virtues and the human values that we talk about. So that's what started happening to me also in the initial 2 3 years, 2003 to 2006, I would say. And this was not my individual call. Uh, Art of Living as an organization is involved in addressing various social issues. You see, we are the ones, as an organization at the global level, we talk about environmental issues, we talk about river rejuvenation, we talk about social issues. And one of the social issues in those days, I'm talking about 20 years back, we had very skewed child sex ratio. And the state that I was living in was one such state, Punjab, and the neighboring state, Haryana, where the figures were abysmally low and nothing to be proud of, being number one, number two in the skewed child sex ratio. So the Art of Living, along with United Nations Population Fund at that time, did a project, Missing Daughters. Where are the daughters? Uh, so, because of the use of the technology and the mindset of the society, there were lesser girls born vis-a-vis the boys. And I would say I got a chance to be leading that particular project in the state of Punjab. But the inspiration comes from Gurudev Sri Sri Ravi Shankar ji. He's the one who inspires us to be going into the society and addressing various social matters, I would say. So the year was 2006, and I'm not the only one. We were a big team, and it was happening at all levels. We were talking about advocacy, we were talking about ground work. We were working at all levels. So it is at that time we did this beautiful project where we used to go out in uh, public, associating with various organizations. We collaborated with over 200 NGOs at that time, collaborated. It wasn't, it isn't, and it shouldn't be that you say, oh, we will do it alone. So you go join hands with like-minded organizations, and you start talking about this particular cause. Uh, Meena, I would be very happy to say to you, uh, 20 years ago, situation was very bad. Today, If you move around in these northern states, you go to public places. These could be social functions like a wedding, and you could be moving around with your family. It's a very, very good sight to see a young couple moving around with two daughters or one daughter, which was not the norm 20 years ago. And the national figures have improved. And we were one of the pioneer organizations that started talking about this issue. Then, after in these 20 years, government took up this particular responsibility. We had the messages on all the public transport, on the buses, on the billboards, and everywhere. So in multiple ways, the collective efforts of the entire society, I would say, the government sector and the non-governmental sector, collectively, we would say that we have come a long way. And in the society today, the figures are far better than what it was 20 years ago. And that's very satisfying that I, at that time, had an opportunity to be associated with this beautiful, beautiful cause. So, in one line, if I would say, this happened to me. I'm an environmental biologist, a scientist by training, a zoologist, an aquatic biologist, and getting associated with these issues, social cause of this particular kind, it happened to me. And when we talk further in this conversation, I'll tell you what all happened on the way. And I'm very proudly saying it to you today that once you become part of the social, I would say, transformative initiatives, this in turns this in turn brings a beautiful, beautiful transformation deep inside you also. And I would proudly say that while I was working and associating myself with this cause, it did good to me also.
Like, I grew up in India, and I grew up in a very patriarchal society. And I have myself witnessed and seen gender bias in the society. And now, dealing with such a sensitive topic in India and actually carrying forward this project, what were the challenges that you faced? And what were the strategies you had in place to tackle the situation effectively?
I would not say that the situation and the fabric out there is 100%, I would say, bad or tattered or affected. We have many positive stories and the patches also. I would say that out there, beyond patriarchy or matriarchy, there are nodes and loads of such nodes in the form of individuals and in the form of systems that functions beyond these identities, I would say. For example, if I may share it with you, I was born in 1970. In my house, I would say my mother was a very empowered woman, free, empowered, and she knew what she was doing in her life. And the entire space around her was the kind that we had a very powerful voice in our house of my mom, and that impacted me. Uh, and I would say that if you have more of such powerful voices around you, there are lesser chances of things going wrong through the family members. So when you ask me what exactly are the challenges and what exactly are the uh, difficulties that I faced while I was taking this message as a coordinator of that particular project in the society, I would say none, Meena. Uh, Let me tell you, the problems and the difficulties, they they take they take a particular position in the society, or they get established in the society not because of the wrong intentions. It happens because of the ignorance. let me tell you. In the spiritual language, we say, more wrong a person seems to be, know it that more ignorant that individual is. Nobody makes mistakes intentionally. If only people knew what they were doing was wrong, they would not do it. Nobody would like to do a wrong or commit a mistake. If they are not even aware that they are part of a wrong, that means they are ignorant. And why are people ignorant and they indulge into wrongdoing? It could be love upside down, turned upside down. It is another version of the love only. What I mean to say here is, people many a times are ignorantly part of many wrongdoings. If you reach out to them with a message of love and compassion, they readily change and transform. And that this entire project that we did, it was called Sneha Sanjeevani Yatra. Beti Sneha Sanjeevani Yatra. Walking in this society, that is Yatra, for the cause of daughters, Beti, and the tool is Sneha Sanjeevani. You reach out to the society with love as a tool, Sneh Sanjeevani, infusing love in others. And and there is no other effective tool than love that can change and transform people. So when we uh, did these yatras, we moved around in various districts of the state of Punjab, taking this message. uh, People changed. People readily accepted, I would say, the movement and its message. And today, 20 years down the line, we are a much better society than what we were 20 years ago. And even if it was a little contribution in the society at that time, I would say that it is bearing fruits today, 20 years later. So what I mean to say here is that if you move around with a cause and the tools are rightly placed, you see, you can't do it. Hey, I'm right and you are wrong. Then you can't transform that person into right. If you go to that individual who's into wrongdoing with a sense of compassion and love, transforming them is much easier. So, in that sense, I would say all of us together as a team, we did not face any such hardships or difficulties while we were executing the project in the state. So that's my story. I hope you get the essence and the message out of that. And that's the message of the enlightened master, Gurudev Shishi Ravi Shankar ji, that you go out there and operate from the space of love and affection for all. You see, the moment you say, oh, I would not like to collaborate with you because you are into wrongdoing, you're doing double the damage. Probably those who are into wrongdoing, they need love more than those who are already in the good frame. That uh, you need to be connecting with these individuals in some such manner that they feel, they realize, oh, this is what the truth is. And somehow, because of ignorance and belief system of a particular kind, I became part of a wrongdoing. I need to, and I can come back. That's what we saw. That's what we witnessed. The transformations that happened in the society. And it was a beautiful, beautiful journey.
So, what was that belief system that you had to focus on, or which you had to bring awareness? Like, as you mentioned, it was all because of ignorance, right? So, what was the ignorance specifically? And you did say that love and compassion makes a difference. But when you think about a big, larger society at large, like, how do you carry a message of such sensitive nature with love and compassion, expecting a massive transformation?
Meena, once again, I would say the reason for the wrong to get established in the society, it doesn't happen overnight. It's a belief system. preference for son, let's say, in various societies. That's one part. The second part, further, I would say, strengthened the wrong practice in the society was the the misuse of the technology, the during the pregnancy, the scannings, the ultrasound, the sonography, the misuse of that. And then the third thing is, in the society, how we are looking at uh, daughters vis-a-vis sons. I would say, with changing times in the last about 30 years, the entire fabric, social fabric, has changed. That was a time when it was kind of a turning point for the world to be witnessing all these beautiful, beautiful changes. Uh, Education for all, uh, realizing that we are not the same kind of society as we were 50 years, 40 years ago. Uh, Daughters are no less than sons. They can equally contribute into the society in multiple ways, I would say, not only into one domain, but uh, in every aspect of life. They, somewhere when we take this conversation forward, Meena, I would also like to say it is wrong to call it equality. You can't call unequal twos as equal. In many ways, I would say females, women, daughters, they are better than their counterparts. Why do we talk about equals? The range in which they function, the resilience that they have, the 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 strength that they invest in everything that they do, we are not equal to them. They are better than us in multiple ways. So in that sense, I would say that this equality also needs to be redefined. Gender equality, you can't call two different entities as equals. Yes, we can say equal opportunities, that's okay. But when we talk about equalities in that, somewhere we are taking the goodness away from one part. Uh, so I would somehow feel that that is not doing full justice to the topic that we are discussing here. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. I agree to that. Yeah.
yeah.
So now, when let's talk about gender bias then, right? So, like I work in the technology sector, and I'm sure it's the same in construction as well within New Zealand, where it's common for a lot of women to experience biases of different kinds. And we conducted a latest research and we published our research findings where we noticed that a lot of women, like more than 60% of them, have actually said, like, look, we are experiencing microaggressions at workplaces and we are thinking about maybe changing our current work in the last year. And a quarter of them have actually even said that, okay, maybe tech sector is not my area. Maybe I'll have to leave tech sector. So when biases of this nature can be so prominent, what would be your advice, like coming from a very spiritual background where you've spoken about taking the message with love and compassion and stuff? It just becomes too difficult for someone like me to actually see, okay, how can I implement those teachings in my day-to-day life, in my workplace, where I have to actually work much more harder than my male counterparts to be recognized for for a piece of work. What would be a message for us?
Meena, I would say one looks within, uh, deep inside, that what my life interest is. That's the first part. Once I have known that, and I have explored that, I have trained myself, and I come to work in that particular segment, people who are passionate, they can sail through all kinds of odds. What I would say would be that each one of us, we need to be working for where we are both balanced, both the intellectual as well as the emotional art, you balance that. That's how holistically you move forward. And more, and that's where there is a need of spiritual practices, you see. Uh, Spiritual practices say that if you wish to develop holistically, you should have a beautiful balance of both being analytical, being logical, being emotional, being sensitive simultaneously. Only and only when one has nurtured both these aspects in one's personalities that you start investing yourself in a beautiful manner where you do not have any I would be you can say throwing more light on that, then you're not violent in any which way. And violence is not only of the physical action. Many people are violent through their words and ideas also. The thoughts that you entertain, the words that you speak, the actions that you have. Violence can be at multiple levels. So for us people, and you are talking about microaggression, that's where I'm using another word, violence, for that. Uh, all that can be brought down, diluted, if individuals learn to be analytical and sensitive simultaneously. And for that, the tools that you need to adopt are what is called as spiritual practices, the breath work, sudarshan kriya, meditation, and so on and so forth. So what I would say would be, once one starts doing that, Meena, I would again ask you this, and through you to many people, you and I, when we are having our breakfast, lunch, or dinner on the table, alone or with your family, you are not identifying and putting a tag onto yourself that you are of one gender or the other. You're a plain being. You at that 24/7 in all spheres of life, you do not continuously, constantly you are not carrying a tag, oh, I belong to this gender. If you are well rested, you are beyond the limited identities. Gender is one identity, cultural identity. How do you identify yourself? That's how it's different from sex. I understand that. What I mean to say here is, Meena, for an individual to grow to the level where you are a complete holistic being, you need to go beyond the limited identities. And gender is one such. And once one has attained that at an individual level, then through you, your presence, your words, your actions, you can have a positive ripple effect also. You would agree with me. All people who are very restful, sensitive, they have they have an ecosystem around them which is beautiful. It could be a family, it could be an office space, it could be an organization which is of probably 20 people or 20,000 people. It has a culture of a particular kind. So for that, it is very, very important. You have invited me. I do not know, I mean, like, what exactly was the purpose and the objective. I would say that if individual beings start becoming more spiritual, the purpose of what your podcast and uh, the idea that you are trying to propagate, equality or equal opportunities, I would say that that is not difficult to meet with. And because we were moving around in the society 20 years ago, taking this message with love, and we call it Sneh Sanjeevani, infusing love into each other. There was a methodology. UN was watching it all. United Nations Population Fund. It was easy. There were no hindrances. There were no roadblocks. There were no oppositions, because it's universal. You see, even now when I'm talking to you, there is nothing that I'm telling to you which is controversial or which is not readily acceptable. So if you go with that particular space where you are beyond your limited identities, you see, if you are identifying yourself with your physical body, oh, I'm big or I'm small, I'm of this skin color or that skin color, Yes, there are some who suffer because of all these limited identities. I completely understand the space from where you are asking this particular question. But the message that we need to give to the entire mankind is that you need to go beyond that. You you are just not physical body. Your mental, emotional needs, your intellectual capacities, they are beyond this physical identity, the gender identity, or the smaller identities, I would say. So once one starts to operate from that space of bigness, then the small drops. And then being at ease with your own self, sharing that space of love and affection with others, propagating that message of love, and in turn, inspiring many directly or indirectly becomes easy, and it becomes a reality. Once you ask this question to me, means like while I'm talking to you, I'm thinking that in the last 20, 23 years, what have I become, what I am, and the way I'm moving forward, there is no conflict. And more such people who are restful, peaceful, not biased, operating from a larger space. You see, if you have a purpose, if you have a purpose in life, which is much larger and bigger, doesn't matter what space do you come from. It's only when we start identifying ourselves with limited roles that it engulfs us and it takes us downward spiral. Ah, don't read me wrong. I'm not saying that the problems are not there. But my submission here is, instead of projecting that problem to the level that we feel that it's a big problem, if we are solution driven and if we start helping people in how to, you see, I learned it much earlier in my life. If you're not talking about the solution of the problem, you are not entitled to be talking about the problem. Are you part of the problem or you are part of the solution? Yeah. So I come from that particular space where let's talk about solutions more. The solution is that if you are operating from a higher perspective, where your entire being is talking about purpose and meaning of life, then the small drops. And if you are one such person in any organization, construction or technology, you can have a beautiful, beautiful impact on people all around you. One one restful individual can create an impact of rest and peace all around, and one perturbed, emotionally, you can say, unstable individual, whatever the gender, would have would become, I would say, a source of emotional pollution all around. So we need to address the cause in its true sense, rather than doing the trimming at the level of the leaves and the twigs. We need to address the root. And once you start addressing the root cause and you start kind of making the corrections there, and what exactly the correction is, paying attention to universal human values, love, affection, knowledge, care. And then what are the tools further? Through breath, through meditation, any error can be minimized.
You were just talking about how balancing the functions of our brain, the right and the left brain, balancing that creates a more holistic human being where
Yeah,
we
so
don't.
I would say, Meena, wherever the problems are of microaggression,
Yeah.
let's see, can we have some more music around? You see, we are not to only talk about, and the individual who's aggressive is a representation of a wrong that has happened behind him. That individual is an outcome. That individual is manifesting something which has come through this individual. That individual is not the cause. So that individual also is crying for help when they are behaving in a particular manner. I hope I'm reaching you, Meena, when I'm saying this. This individual who errs, who does a wrong, is also indirectly or directly giving out this message, I also need help. So how do you help such small minority in, I would say, pockets? Everybody is not like that. You would agree with me. So these individuals, they need help. And how do you help them? You do not help them through counter aggression. No, you do not help such people by running away from that particular place also. How do we address the, maybe some things are to be done at individual level, some things are to be done at the organizational level, that we have a culture of the organization. And one thing that I can say that can really, really help organizations if they wish to improve upon their, I would say, culture and the people space that each of these organizations has, is that, hey, yes, they are delivering. They are ultimately, businesses are not charity. It is to actualize the objective and the mission that they have started the business with. I would not say but. And along with that, you can create a culture where more people meditate, where more people take refuge in knowledge. You see, we have allowed the wrongs to establish so easily in the workplaces, but we also need to be establishing the right practices in the workplaces where there are more number of people who are meditating. There are more number of people. Let's and in today's time and age, if you do not want to call it meditation, you can have a space in the office space, I would say, where you say, okay, for half an hour, I'm just shutting off the entire system, and I'll kind of be in that restful mode, and I'll come back. Move in a direction which is solution driven, and know it that wherever there is a wrong, that wrong is shouting loud, hey, I also need help. Helping them also is our responsibility. You see, it's much easier getting into arguments and getting into debates. That's not solution. It's much easier saying that, oh, you are wrong and I'm right. But that's not the solution. Is how do you transform an individual who's erring, who's making mistakes out of ignorance? That is the premise, and that is the I would say philosophy, if I may be allowed to be using this particular word, with which we are, I would say, nurturing ourselves as individuals, inspiring others also to grow on the uh, journey called life, and in turn share the goodness with others.
Now, like some of us could be very new to meditation. Now, how does the brain functionality and the breath work? What is the relationship between the two?
Today we have, I would say, research publications available from the best of the institutions today, be it in India, and in the Western world, the leading universities. They have done research on that. Once an individual starts to pay attention onto their breath and going for 20 minutes of deep restful state, what we call as meditation, what it does to the brain waves, not only the brain waves, the entire hormonal profile of an individual. Holistically speaking, all those people who are doing meditation and who are practicing the breath work, what in Indian language is called as yogic practices, uh, it does have a very, very significant impact on the way people um, behave, and that behavior has a background which is at the endocrinological level, which is the neural level, These are established facts. If you so wish, I can share with you some of those documents, well researched from the established laboratories of the world. I'm not a medical expert, so I would not go into the details of that. But this has been explored, and there are today the valid facts available that yes, when you are doing the breath work and when you are meditating, it positively has an impact on an individual, provided they have done it for a particular period. It doesn't happen if you do it just for 1 day or 2 days. You need to be a practitioner for a longer duration.
So, say if I'm in a workplace, I meditate regularly and I'm very positive when I walk into work, but I am working with workmates who don't meditate or who are not open to meditation at all. So, when that is the case, how can I help transform my immediate environment?
I ask you a counter question, Meena. When a good and a not so good two people are together, when an aware and an ignorant person are two together, when a person with larger capacities and the other with the limited capacities are together, who has bigger responsibility? Tell me.
Larger capacity.
So, if you are a meditator and you have the larger capacity and you have people around you, you have the responsibility of bringing that transformation in those individuals. You see, if you are good, you can't restrict it to your own self. Oh, I'm a practitioner and I have nothing to do with others. If you are fortunate and if you are aware and if you have some wealth with you, wealth of knowledge I'm talking about in this particular case, then you have a responsibility to make sure that all those who are around you, you positively have an, if I'm allowed to use that particular word, you positively influence them and have an impact on them so that the space is changed. And the very problem that you are talking about, the aggression and the wrongdoings from that side, is minimized. I hope I have answered your question. So if I'm a meditator, if I'm aware, I have a responsibility that I need to build capacities among people who are around me without judging them, without labeling them. I learned it much earlier in my life that it is very easy to say, oh, so and so doesn't have the capacity. It's, hey, the other doesn't have the capacity because nobody has instilled those capacities in them. If you also are the one who just comes and makes a judgment and say that about them and move away, they will be the same. Hey, you and I, we have that responsibility of making sure that individuals who are around us, they grow. And if you're strong and positive, you can do that. I'm sure in this conversation also we are having an impact on each other. And when others listen to this conversation, they also would be impacted. So the same we have to do towards others who are around us. You see, it's not allowed to be saying that I'm the victim. The moment you have locked yourself into a victim space, you are not part of the solution. You have become limited. Yes, you could be a victim of situation sometimes, but in every situation of that particular kind, you need to take responsibility. You see, who are our heroes? All our heroes in all domains of life are the ones who were pushed, but they countered. They came up with solutions rather than crying foul and saying, oh, I'm the victim. So in that particular sense, I would say, Meena, you be the hero, and may many like you be the heroes, be the agent of change. One step at a time, one individual at a time, we can transform societies.
spirituality has this connotation in me, which gives me a message that, okay, you be simple, you be relaxed. But when I'm talking to you, it just sounds like, okay, spirituality means taking leadership, driving social changes. It just feels like contradicting.
I don't say that as the contradiction. I would say if you are worldly very successful, mark my words, if you are in the material world very successful, chances are that individual is very strong at the level of spirit. That person might not wear clothes of a particular color, might not do practices of a particular kind which are visible to this world, but is a strong spirited person deep within. Without those virtues, making it big in this world is very, very difficult. I hope this stance of mine makes sense when I'm responding to your question. So, when you say that the very word spirituality, it brings a particular kind of an image in your mind. Each individual in every relationship, in every situation, in every aspect of life need to be spiritual. And being spiritual here doesn't mean that you are running away from the world. Being spiritual means living in this world with strength deep within. You have a you have a strength at the core, what we call as spirit. You see, the very meaning of the word spirit is something which is the essence uh, of an entity. So each one of us, we need to be strong deep within. If you are physically, mentally, emotionally, if you are strong deep within, you are a spiritual person. uh, Now you can choose to identify yourself with one tradition or one kind of a practice or the other. That's how all these practices in this world, they are not contradictory to each other, they are complementing. Spiritual practices are talking about beautiful human values and strength deep within. The methodologies could be different. We have a very beautiful Hindi poet in India who says, अलग अलग पथ बतलाते सब, पर मैं ये बतलाता हूँ, राह पकड़ तू एक चला चल, पा जाएगा. You'll get your destination if you start walking a path. That path, by virtue of one being born in one part of the world and another person born in another society, you might have different paths. But the common denominator, what is common in all, the common thread in all these is what is called as spirituality. You might see the traditions of the world at the superficial level, symbols and rituals and the visible things of a particular kind, but the underlying strong, beautiful, universal thing is what is spiritual. So again, I would say these are not contradictions. These complement each other. An individual who's spiritual can be very, very effective in whatever domain they are in. And if you choose to call it as leadership, yes, uh, one could be a leader without vision, and one could be a leader with a lot of strength deep within that emanates from the space of being a practitioner. These are beautiful, beautiful possibilities, I would say, with modern day leaders, that if they can really understand the essence and the totality of from where you see, you can't be a leader by virtue of your position. You can't be a leader by virtue of your power position. No, that's not leadership. Leadership is that if you can inspire people around you, if your presence can have a positive impact on one or two or 20 or 50 or 100 or 1,000 or lakhs of people, you are a leader in every which way. So this is what we need to pay attention to.
So, does spirituality come with social responsibility?
Without doubt, it's a yes. You can't be a greedy one that you are taking away from this world and not contributing back into the society. If you are taking from this world, it's your responsibility to give it back. If this society is investing in you, if people around you are instrumental in making who you are, then you also have a responsibility to give it back to the society. Each individual who comes in the leadership role, each individual who's a practitioner, has to have the social responsibility.
So, what advice would you give to young people today who are passionate about social causes, who want to, especially amongst gender, who want to work towards minimizing gender stereotypes in workplaces and stuff? What would be your advice to those young people?
I would say that before you start giving it to others, first learn to connect with your own self. If one is operating from a very superficial spice, oh, I like this slogan, so I would start working in that particular direction, you will get tired. And somewhere or the other, you might feel, oh, I didn't pay attention to this particular aspect, and I'm already in neck deep into this kind of a movement or this particular cause. But if you really, really know how to connect with your own self, and that again happens through two things. One, when you are restful, and Meena, meditation is not just closing your eyes and being restful. Being spiritual and doing all these practices means you're very sharp. You have that complete clarity of mind. You can perceive the reality as it is, not as a skewed perception. All these things are possible when one becomes a spiritual. The message to those who are investing their efforts in this particular direction, I would say, work on these two, three things. The first is you need to be restful, peaceful. When you are restful and peaceful, you also have the clarity of mind. And many people misinterpreted it that when you are restful and peaceful, you are not dynamic. We say only those who are restful and peaceful and those who have clarity of mind have the access to that abundant energy that they are deep within. Meena, where do you tap that energy from? You don't buy it from a superstore. The source is deep within. So individuals who are practitioners, who are spiritual practitioners, they have these three things simultaneously. They are restful and they are energetic simultaneously. And coupled with complete clarity, wisdom. I'm not even using the word knowledge. You see, uh, anybody can have knowledge today. We have so much of knowledge, abundance all around us through technology. But the question is, are people wise? So, being restful, being energetic, coupled with wisdom, whatever mission that you adopt, whatever domain that you want to work in, you will be able to conduct and operate and I would say contribute whatever drives you, whatever you're passionate about in a very effective manner.
I really like how solution driven this conversation is. It's beautiful.
I'm so happy that you received it that way. And I hope uh, those who are watching it, uh, they also are inspired to be to be to be sitting back and reflecting on this. That when I'm moving forward, I need to be moving forward from what space. Otherwise, Meena, there are people who are calling themselves as leader. They are very feverish. If you are leading, if you are operating from a particular uh, position, you need to be dynamic. And how do you become dynamic? This is what the spiritual practice is. I would say, teach you. You operate from that space of fullness, not from lack.
It's a very beautiful message. So appreciate that we're having this conversation. Now,
Thank you.
what is next for you? You've been working on many different social projects. What are you currently doing? What's next for you?
Meena, one, I have not kind of on a piece of paper made a roadmap for myself. Uh, I am like one day at a time, what life offers to me, and the way organically things unfold. I'm moving with the flow. Uh, and I'm very fortunate that world over, uh, wherever I am traveling, that I get this opportunity to meet new people, and through the organization, the Art of Living, wherever I'm conducting programs, I get to learn and share with others, and we grow together on this particular path. And this expression would not be complete if I do not say it that Gurudev Shishi Ravi Shankarji, he inspires us uh, to be better version of ourselves, and continuing to be walking together on this path, and making sure that individuals are stress free, societies are violence free, and we are all restful, peaceful, and we do not have aggression. We have harmony in the society, in the workplaces.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dua. This was a very, very beautiful conversation. So, to sum it up, I just feel the solution for any social causes or challenges is to turn our attention inwards, right? So, I really loved how you explained that the solutions are all within us, and it's just a matter of being rested, being in a state of peaceful state of mind, having the clarity in thoughts, and being dynamic, where with clarity action becomes much more meaningful, right? So beautiful. Any final thoughts for our listeners?
Just wishing well for everybody. If you are restful, peaceful, it's your responsibility that you wish well for others. So in that sense, I would just say that may all beings be peaceful, restful, and may there be peace all around.